I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make my bonfire beanie that you guys have seen on my Instagram feed. Yeah, pretty much all over in my market prep stuff. And I use the Addi. This is the king size Addi machine. I got mine off of Amazon. I will put that link below. I also have the smaller version. This is the original size Addi, I believe. It's the Addi Express, and I use that to make other things, and I'll do more tutorials with that as well. The yarn I use for my bonfire beanies so far has always been Caron Simply Soft. This yarn works really good in my machine. You may notice I tried to use like Lily's Sugar and Cream on my Addi, and it did not work. It splits, it gets caught. You can break your teeth if you start turning and you feel resistance, like a lot of resistance. Just stop, back up, and assess what's going on, because you can break the teeth. Normally, if you buy your Addi new, you will get extra teeth. I have yet to have to change any of mine. Hopefully I don't. When I do have to change one, I will definitely do a tutorial on how to change them for you guys in case someone else breaks theirs, but as of right now, I haven't had that issue. When you set your Addi machine up, there's two little clamps down here you guys can't see. I just clamp them around the table. Is that 100% necessary? No, but I like having the clamps on there because it just holds the machine, so it's easier to turn if you do it that way. So this right here is the counter. It will, as soon as you start turning, it'll start going once it hits one of the black ones, one of the black teeth. You can always hit clear. I like to start my beanies with the same yarn that I'm using. You're going to need waste yarn, which is something like this, how this is a different color yarn at the end, and it's so that you can see the stitches when you have to stitch the ends together. On the hats, you don't stitch the ends together, but you do need to weave yarn through them. So I just have scrap pieces of yarn that I keep. So, you know, you guys probably have scrap yarn laying around. This is what this stuff is perfect to use for. So to start, you're going to bring your Addi around until you get to your first black tooth. This is really important that you do your first black tooth. I like to do center pull of my yarn. I just set my yarn right here in my lap, and then some people like to set it on the floor. If you have like a little shoebox or something you want to put it in, you could do that. I like to wrap my string around my hand 3 to 4 times and just throw it in the middle. You're gonna keep this closed. You always want this thing right here closed when you are turning your Addi, because if you don't, when you turn it, the teeth are going to hit that and you're going to break a tooth, or you're going to break a cover. So you're going to put that down, and you're going to put it on the right side of your first black one. You're going to spin it and go behind it, in front of, behind, in front, and you're going to keep turning, and you're going to keep pushing that thread behind and in front, behind and in front. Front here, behind here, in front here, behind here. You're going to make sure your yarn is loose when you're doing this. Front, behind. You'll get a lot quicker the more you do it. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard, I like literally taught my boyfriend how to use this machine. He can pretty much make an entire bonfire beanie all by himself, which is awesome. He has no crochet and or knit experience. Once you get to the end, you're going to go around your last one, pull it right in there, and close it. So for now, that was like round 1. I like to clear my little counter. And you go, and you'll notice I'm holding it as it's feeding in, and I'm barely putting any pressure on it. It's more important to make sure that the yarn is coming loose from your skein, but I'm like barely pinching, like it can just pull right through my fingers, no problem. If you use too much pressure, it'll make the hat really tight, which if you want to make a children's size hat or a teen size hat, you can try adding a little bit more pressure, because I accidentally made some of those when I was trying to teach Trevor how to do it. We were trying to get our tension right. It's just really important that if you're going to try and make adult size hats with this yarn on the Addi machine, that you hold it really lightly and you just let it glide through your fingers. It's really just more for guiding it into the machine. And basically you're just going to keep just cranking. And you go up to down for the handle. And I keep pulling yarn out. Basically you just keep going in a circle. You have to watch your stitches and make sure that you're not dropping any. Sometimes they drop off the side here. With Caron Simply Soft on my machine, I have had little to no problems. There are some tutorials online on how to pick up a dropped stitch, which I honestly don't have any problems with, so I haven't had to do it much. It looks like a pain in the behind, but I know when I'm making these, sometimes when I'm making these and I drop a stitch or something, I might just start over depending on how late or early in the process it happened. Sometimes you can, if it only dropped like a few down, you can hurry up and grab your crochet hook and loop them back through and get it on your machine. But sometimes it's just easier to start over. You might find yourself trying to pick up a drop stitch for 20 minutes and you could have made a hat by then. Basically, you do this and you're going to make 110 rows. 110 rows on your Addi. And that is going to give you the length you want for your bonfire beanie. I'll measure it at the end here so that if your tension is different than mine, you can make sure that your hat's around the same length. No hat is ever exactly the same on the Addi, you know, unless you held it perfectly tension-wise the entire time and you use the same skein of yarn. Everything might be a slightly different, slightly off, and that's okay. So right now it seems really large when you're going out. You're like, wow, this is way too fat. It's way too thin. This will begin to tighten up as it drops down and the machine's not pulling it apart so much. It'll start to look more like a hat. So go to 110 rows and I will see you when you get there. So I'm at row 109, and when I get back to my first black peg, that will, right here, that changes the counter to 110. Now I'm going to leave probably a, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 foot tail. It doesn't really have to be that long, but at least 10 inches, I would say. I'm going to take this tail and throw it right into the middle. I'm going to grab my waste yarn, which is just a contrasting color of yarn. I'm going to leave a tail, throw it in the middle. I'm going to loop it around the black. And you're just going to tuck it under. And then you're going to close, you're going to put it in your little guide right here and close the guide again. And then you're going to keep cranking like you have been. And you're going to do about 5 rows. I found is like a good number to have for just your waste yarn at the end. You can do more, you could do less, but I wouldn't do anything less than 3 just because it tends to unravel on itself. And it makes the next step we're going to do just a little bit trickier. And so one of the reasons I like to use waste yarn is because the cast off of your machine is a lot easier. Because I don't care about this red unraveling a little bit on the edge, I'm just going to simply when I get towards the end, just throw my string in, whatever loop it ends on is fine. And I'm gonna keep cranking my machine. And you're gonna go around. And then once you reach and you've gone your second loop around, you'll see that the project just starts falling right off the Addi. Sometimes they might get a little stuck and you might need an extra help. Sometimes you have to do another crank around for 1 or 2 loops that got stuck on. But for the most part, that's it. So this is what you should have right now. Just one long tube. So let me move my machine here. One skein of Caron Simply Soft usually makes about 2 bonfire beanies. I have in the past made, sometimes it's like a little less, so I'll make my hats at 105, about 105 rows instead of 110 rows to make a skein last for 2. But once you get it sort of stretched, it should be about 25 or so inches, anywhere from like 23 to 25 is probably best that I found in my experience. So this is the side with the no red yarn. This is the side that we cast on first. This is the side we started with. So, okay. So for this side, hopefully you just have to pull the tail of it and it will tighten all of this right up. You're gonna pull it tight, and that is the top of your hat. This end is a little bit more work, not a ton, just a little. So you're going to take a yarn needle. This is the one that came with the Addi. Mine is a little bent. I suggest trying to keep these as fresh as possible. They work great if you use a different cast off method where you use the needle to get the Addi stuff off, and I have not found an exact yarn needle that's shaped with the curved end and is plastic like this, because the plastic works best with the Addis as far as getting the yarn off. So I'm just going to do that. Pick up every loop that you can see here that's against the contrasting color. So right here is a loop. And then right here is the next blue loop. And you're just going to pick up all of these loops that are sticking out all the way around. So you're just going to go through and pick up every blue loop that's here, 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 and so on and forth, all the way around. Once you get to the end and you've gone all the way around, you can take your needle out and you're just going to unravel this waste yarn that you had at the end. And then I like to keep mine because I just use it for waste yarn for future projects. So keep your scrap yarns. It's perfect for waste yarn on an Addi machine. Sometimes you might decide you want to do a scrap yarn project or something on your Addi, and it'd be nice to have all of these for that. So now basically we picked up all the loops, so it's just like the other end where it tightens, but I like to go and stick my arm through, grab this piece, pull it in through the hat, out this end, and then you can pull that end inside of the rest of the hat so you can make it double thick. And then again, you're going to cinch this side. You're going to make sure that all of the ends kind of get pushed in where they're supposed to go. And then I like to just tie a knot at the top of mine, tie it pretty tight. And the best thing about Addi hats like this, or hats that you make that are double thick like this, you can just cut off this extra, take your yarn needle, you're going to stick it back in the top, and you're going to go only down one layer. You're not going to go down 2 layers. You're going to keep it between the 2 layers. Poke it out the side. Cut it, and then just pull it back in, and then that string is between the 2 layers of the hat, which is great. I'll do the same with the second string. Pull it through, snip it, and there you have your first bonfire beanie using your Addi machine. And if you don't like the slouch beanie look, I wear mine slouchy. You can always fold the brim up. This is how my boyfriend and my cousin always wear theirs. So this is so marketable. This is a unisex hat. Guys can wear it, girls can wear it. If someone, like my boyfriend, bless his soul, has like a really big head compared to me, I have a small head. So I always try to make his a little bit looser knit. If I want a more slouch beanie, I will make mine looser. If I have a small head, so like mine can be held a little bit tighter, the tension can be, but too tight, like I said, will make a children and or teen size hat. So that's something to keep an eye on. It might take you making 10 hats to figure out exactly how your tension is. That's okay. I've made, you know, 100 hats and I probably still don't have my tension down 100%. The most important thing I can say is to try and be consistent as possible on your tension. Otherwise, your hat might be really tight up here and your stitches might be really loose down here. Whatever you do, whether it's tight or loose, remain consistent. And that's all, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I will be having more Addi tutorials coming to my channel. I will be posting them on my blog. I love my Addi. I can't wait to show you guys more things. My next tutorial, I think, will be the twist headbands. And also I'll probably just do some quick cast on, cast off tutorials for anyone who wants to try and make their own projects for their Addi Express. But thank you for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it. And leave comments below telling me if you have an Addi, if you've ever done any projects on it, if you plan on getting one. I will share a link to the Amazon shop that I purchased mine from. And hopefully you guys will be making tons of great items for your market prep come market season.